What's up, team, or hopefully be part of the team. So check out this first chart. You see all these colored crazy dots on the fretboard. Don't worry, I'm going to break them down. We're going to layer by layer. We're going to use these as great little foundations for rhythm. Rhythm is king, rhythm is queen, period. There is no debate to that. If you don't have rhythm, you're going to want some rhythm, right? So we're going to use these charts to help us. So grab it. It's linked below. I put all the chapters in here. Keep rewatching them. Come up with your own. I'm always going to give you the framework. You don't have to copy what I do. Okay, stripping this back, here is the first chart. If you see it, it is a G major bar chord with a G triad, okay? Because we're going to do a G major and an E minor thing with scales, bar chords, and triads. So we're getting the key of G, the 1, and the minor 6, relative minor, E minor. So if you look inside this, I color-coded the triad to make it really easy. You guys know, if you've been on this channel, or if you're new to this channel, I'm going to hammer triads over and over and over because you're going to use them. I'm not going to give you anything you're not going to use playing by yourself, or like I'm going to a band practice tonight. This is the stuff I use in real-world applications. Okay, so G major bar to G triad. So this is more of like the technical. Just get it, okay? Bar to the triad. Now, I will point out, because a lot of you always ask, muting is a huge part of rhythm. Okay, muting, it's a combination of muting with your left hand and your right hand, and it's very subtle. You don't really notice it, but if you play a lot, you understand it, okay? So what I'm doing here is when I go from the bar to the triad, I'm putting my thumb over and I'm muting that out. So I get that real percussive thing. So for example, before you even do that, if you want, just put your hand where you would play this G major bar and the triad, and just go like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Or maybe get this. Okay, now let's actually throw in the musical part, which is the triad and the bar chord. So we're going to go bar chord to triad. Of course, there's many ways I could get rid of the pick. Again, see how tight that is? I'm just getting that triad in there, okay? Now, the reason I'm going to put the triads in blue is because I need you to connect the dots on that. You might connect one small dot. If you're a beginner, you're an intermediate, you're advanced, there's something in here for you. Obviously, the more advanced your skill or technical skills or knowledge of theory is, then you can soak in more. But that's why I put chapters in here and made you this ebook. Okay, so GBD, GBD, right inside G major to G triad. And on the top left, it tells you G bar, a G major triad is GBD. So another thing, there you go. Look at that angular pattern. That's on the DGB string set. Okay? Now, let's go to the next chart. Whoop! Now, this is cool because this is an E minor bar and triad. Now, one thing you definitely need to be aware of is you need to make these connections. These are light bulb moments you need to have. If you look at this E minor bar chord, okay? Now, obviously, the root's where? It's right here on the A string on the 7th fret, just like on the chart. And you have that A minor open chord shape, okay? And you go like this. But do you notice how the EGB triad, the E minor triad, it's that same angular shape that we did on the G major triad, but it's on a different string set. That's why it's minor, okay? So that's why you want to know the theory. I know a lot of you guys ask, well, what do I have to know theory to play? You don't, but I'm going to ask you this right back at you. Like, would you want to know the theory if you could and have more of a command of where you want to go instantly because of it? More of a rhetorical question. Yes, you would, okay? So EGB is an E minor triad. There's your information on the top left, okay? So maybe you're a beginner watching this right now, or an intermediate player, or maybe you're an advanced player, you don't even know the theory. Maybe you just learned today that a G major triad is GBD and an E minor is EGB. They share all the same notes because they're related. They're a family, okay? So go like this. Same thing, bar chord to triad. You want to get that rhythm, get that little drummer going. Okay, now you do notice I'm not playing with a metronome because what I really want you to do here is I want you to develop a super tight internal rhythm, right? So you want to build your own internal rhythm. So if you're sitting here with your acoustic or your electric, or if you're playing with a band that doesn't have a percussionist, this is where this is going to come into play. I'm always going to, like I said, I'm always going to show you real world stuff. So E minor, D minor triad, E minor bar, E minor triad. Okay, you could just go back and forth between the G to the E minor, and that could be all you do today, and that's great. Okay. This is deep, so we're gonna go even further. All right, let's go to the next chart, okay? Now this one, let me explain why there is a red D right there on the 12th fret on the D string. Okay, we'll get to that. So top left, same thing. It's another E minor bar chord with an E minor triad inside of it, the E, G, B in blue, okay? Now below that, here's where the red note comes in. I gave you a little bonus triad, because why not? It's right there. It's a G triad. Now G triad equals G, B, D. That would be the 1, 3, 5, okay? So this would be D, G, B though. See that red D? That's a second inversion G major triad, meaning you're putting D, G, B as the order. It's just when you put the 5th or the 3rd as the lowest note in the triad you're playing. I know this is a lot, don't worry, it's okay, you'll get it. That just means that's a second inversion triad. Because normally it'd be, look at G, B, D. Now D is the lowest note. It's D, so that's a second inversion triad. Now, if you never learn that, it's okay. It's not gonna stop you from being a great player, but why not? Learn it. Okay, so here's the E minor bar chord, right? So this is cool because you got 2 variations of E minor. And then you've got the E minor triad, and then you've got a G major second inversion triad. So you could go like this, rhythmically. This is just E minor bar to E minor triad. Now let's go to E minor bar to D major triad. Back to the minor triad. Okay, now while I'm thinking of it, because we're right here, I played this earlier. This is a great little rhythmic thing too for an arpeggiated thing, okay? So right now we're doing like the harmonic component. Can't say that word today. Harmonic component. We're doing the chords to the triads. A triad is a chord. It's a 3-note, just a stripped down bar chord, right? To the most important elements that make up that bar chord. So you could do this. You could go this E minor triad, E, G, B, like pick it, and then go to the second inversion G major triad. Is this rhythm? Oh yeah, it is. So you see, you can come up with so many of your own little rhythmic combinations in there, right? Again, if you're not much of a finger picker, start picking with your fingers. Do that little arpeggiated thing I did right there, like this. E minor, E, G, B in blue, E minor triad to the G second inversion. I'll just call it G triad, now you know it's second inversion. Maybe add a little hammer on. You guys know I'm always beatboxing on here. That's just a habit I've developed over the years that helped me get really good internal rhythm. And I've played in a lot of acoustic duets with no drummers. I played in full bands with drummers. I'm actually going to a band practice tonight, a 3-piece. I'll try and film some of that so we can beef up that playlist, the behind the bands. I think you'll dig that. Okay, so there are your harmonic components, okay? You got your G major triad to the, G bar to G triad, E minor bar to E minor triad, and then another E minor bar to an E minor triad or a second inversion in G major triad. Okay, let's go to the next chart. Here comes the fun part. Now we're gonna start busting out the scales, okay? And at the end of this, I'm gonna just kind of show you a bunch of different things you can do rhythmically, because that's what this is about. This is how you take scales, chords, triads, everything on this neck, and then you turn it into super solid rhythm practice. Because again, rhythm is king, rhythm is queen, always will be. No debate on that, okay? Unless you want to sound like a terrible rhythm player, but I'm assuming you don't. Okay, so here's just the technical part. Now again, you know I'm gonna put the information up there for you. I kept the G triad inside of there, and that angular, see, okay? I just want to burn that in your brain. Burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it in your brain, GBD. How it's inside of. What you really need to do here too is, even though I put the whole G major scale in green, and I like to finish, just so you know, the reason I finish on A is I like to kind of do exactly what I did from the low E to the high E, Does that make sense? So, but again, there's that triad. Here's the bar chord. Okay, was that rhythmic? Yes. Now, I'm gonna give you guys a little quick tip. I said there were no tricks, but this is more of a tip, all right? But if you ever get lost inside of a scale, or if you get lost anywhere when you're playing by yourself or with a group, especially if you're playing live, never stop the train. Don't derail, meaning don't stop the rhythm. So your instrument is just as much of a drum set as it is a guitar playing harmony and melody. Because let's say I'm noodling around, not aimlessly, noodling with purpose in this scale. And let's say I'm doing like a little riff. Just the bar chord to the triad. And then I'm gonna wanna go into like a little run in the scale, but I forget where I am. I'll show you what I do. Oh, I forgot. Am I playing a note? Oh yeah, there I am. So you see how rhythmic you can get with like a limit. Sometimes you got to limit yourself. So maybe, because I bookmarked all these chapters for you, sorry, still getting over this flu thing, but maybe you just do something in this and this only, and then you go back. You guys don't need to feel overwhelmed. I put a lot in here, but I want you to piece it out and connect the dots over time, all right? So just keep watching this, all right? So look, maybe you do, grab this G to the B, okay? I'm giving you all kinds of frameworks. Now, what is G to B? Is that a chord? No, it's called an interval because it's the distance between two notes. So one of the things you always want to do too is start recognizing what these intervals are. That's a major third, okay? So maybe you want to do something rhythmic with just the major third interval, G to B. Because everything's about moods and flavors. And if you don't understand how to get the moods or flavors, you're not going to get them, or you're going to have to just keep playing and stumble across them. Again, why you want to know the theory. So now you're going to notice too, if you've watched my videos, or if you watch any seasoned player, there's always a rhythmic thing happening between changes, even when we're not playing notes. And it's nothing we even think about, it just happens. And I know you guys ask all the time, oh, how do you get your flow like that? Or how do I up my rhythm skills so I can just flow seamlessly like that? Well, this is how you do it. A lot of times, again, where you're just doing that muffled string stuff, sometimes it happens so quick, you don't hear it, but what it does is it keeps the rhythm going, it keeps the groove flowing. Like, you ask any of the best drummers in the world, and rest his soul, I used to be friends with John Blackwell, who was Prince's drummer. He even told me too, as a drummer, like, the pocket is everything. Like, he doesn't need to throw in any fills. If he plays like a sick, tight, solid, pocketed groove, then he did his job. And unfortunately, I didn't get to play a track with him before he passed, but he's always looking down, so what's up, John? All right, so maybe you do some little rhythmic things out of this scale, like... Now I'm playing kind of fast, so slow the tempo down. Like, if you want, look, you gotta walk before you can run. Maybe you just bust it down into like little, let's say eighth notes, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right? Maybe you just run parts of the scales. So maybe that's just like a technical exercise. Maybe that's a warm-up exercise. We're not really doing a lot of music making. I'm showing you little like flashes of it. But again, there's that triad. Because see what you can do, maybe using the scale bar chord, triad, bar chord, and scale. Okay? Again, there's so many elements that go into solid rhythm playing. Like, a lot of it's the muting down here. Here, there's just so much subtlety going on. And you don't see I'm not squeezing the life out of the neck. Oh, this guitar's named Inca too, by the way. This is my oldest guitar. Love this thing since like got it in the mid-90s. All right, let's move on to the next scale. Now we've got 2 E minor pentatonic scales, and I got some information here. You'll see some purple B flats. You see 1 orange B flat. I'll explain why. So the pink, here's the pink one, right? All right, but I added the B flat in there. That's the flat 5. That turns it into like a blues scale. So you can use that however you want. Now you need to connect the dot right now. I need you to see that that's where remember the E minor bar chord to the E minor triad we did? And again, I'm staying consistent. You see there, E, G, B, there's an E minor triad right there. All right, so run the scale. If you don't want to put the B flat in there, don't. So here's without it. Here's just an E minor pentatonic. Okay, and while you're doing it, like say some of the note names. This is how you learn the notes on the neck in a meaningful way where it actually has some context. So you got that E minor bar to the E minor triad, and now you got an E minor blues scale. All right, so I'll show you some killer little things there's one awesome rhythmic thing we're gonna do at the end that uses this E, G, A, B flat, B, okay? But we'll get to that. But just see what you can do. Maybe bar chord to triad. Bar chord to triad, just run part of the scale. Okay, so there is the first E minor pentatonic scale with the added flat 5. Now, here's why I put that B flat right here in orange. I thought it was a great little way to kind of run in and connect the second E minor pentatonic position, which is in black. Okay, we'll leave out the B flats. Okay, so but if you want to add the B flat and go more bluesy, a little more like mojo. Now let me show you how we can use that B flat to morph between 2 E minor pentatonic positions, and this is another great rhythmic thing, right? Do I play the scale all disconnected and it feels like, what's this guy doing? No, it has flow to it. So watch this. So okay, so when you get more comfortable, weave back and forth between the 2 positions. Maybe use some of the blues notes, the flat 5s, or maybe don't. See if you can hit some of those triads. Maybe you do like maybe you do something between bar chord to triad, bar chord to triad, and then throw in some little licks out of one of the scales. Again, this is all gonna be based off of your level of, your technical level, but you're not gonna get higher and higher and better until you start breaking it down into smaller chunks. So don't add the other scale. Don't do 2 of them if you can't make it sound rhythmic. If you can't flow between the 2, just stick in one. Just grab one position. Maybe go. See, right there, if you get lost. Okay, one kind of backup plan you can have, so you're not afraid to play with others, is always know where to go harmonically. So if you're getting lost in a scale, you can always go back to the chord. You can always go back to the triad, okay? That's like home base. And you don't have to worry about like your train derailing, okay? Because nobody, whether they're a seasoned musician, especially like a general person in the audience, the only way people know something really catastrophic has happened is if you stop. So just don't stop. So always keep. Okay? Okay, and even if your rhythm starts to go a bit shaky, just keep it going and you'll iron out the kinks, all right? That's just how it works. So there you go. Now you've got 2 E minor pentatonic positions with the flat 5 if you want to add a little more flavor, and then be very keenly aware of that B flat that's in orange. It just kind of connects a great way to flow between the 2 scales. Do you have to flow there no, you can flow however you want. I just thought it was kind of cool to have it there. That's you could do a rhythmic thing just on the B string. Okay. Whew, so that's a lot moving through the chart. Now let's just go to the grand finale. Okay, so look at the chart now with everything on it. And it's okay. So I want to show you a couple of frameworks, ideas to actually make music. And it looks like my battery's going to croak. I got to make it through this. Let's see if we can do it. So you see, you got, real quick review, you got the G major scaled in green, okay? Right? You've got the triad, the bar chord with the triad in blue, okay? And then you've got this E minor pentatonic blues. You've got the bar chord to the triad, and you see how I left the triads in blue. Now, if you can look at the chart like this crazy one with everything, go for it, but not, just separate it out. Like, give your mind a break. You only have so much bandwidth. And then you've got the E minor bar chord up here. You've got the E minor pentatonic blues scale. And then you've also got, oh, you know what? I forgot to put that D in red on this master chart, but it's okay. You've got the E minor bar, E minor triad, excuse me, E, G, B, and then you've got a second inversion G major triad, D, G, B. If you guys haven't seen a lot of my triad videos, definitely go check out the playlist where I did it very more like an encyclopedia of showing you all 12 triad sets for major, minor, and all the strings sets. All 12 triads and all 4 string sets. You'll get it. All right, so here's something we can do. Remember when I told you, let's go to the middle part of the chart where it's this pink E, G, A, B flat, B. Okay. A lot of you asked about this. Now, I grew up listening to a lot of like rock, a lot of funk. A lot of my favorite players are John Frusciante, the Chili Peppers, big funk player. Dave Navarro, Jane's Addiction, who actually is a great funk player if you listen to a lot of this stuff. Of course, my mom had me growing up on the Beatles, Zeppelin, The Who, Pink Floyd, all the regulars, Joni Mitchell, all the greats, right? But here's what you can do. I want you to do a one string, like rhythm exercise. So let's do it right here. Or you can do it on the E and A strings because it's the same pattern up here. Out of that position. What you're gonna do is you're gonna hit all the strings, but you're only going to have one note sound out. This is probably one of the more advanced rhythmic techniques, but it's awesome when you get it because you can throw it in with everything else. So watch this. We're going to go. Essentially what I'm doing there is I'm going E, G. We're in the pink part in the middle, that E minor pentatonic, but I'm going E, G, and then I'm walking down. That's like a little blues run. B, B flat, A. But I'm not going like this. I'm not just picking one string. Now watch my strumming hand. I'm hitting them all. So this is why this is a great thing that you can do where you hit all the strings. This is where all the muting's going on here. These fingers are all lightly muting the strings that I don't want to sound, which are 5 strings out of 6. So that's not easy, but so if you can, maybe the only thing you do today is just go to this E or this E, and see if you can hit all the strings. Now, of course, there's going to be times where in between the changes, which happen quick, some harmonic overtones are going to happen, but it doesn't matter as long as they sound musical, okay? Because you're not going to be perfect at this. So watch this. Maybe you go back and forth between E and G. So come up with different little combinations, all right? Maybe you do this. Maybe you go E minor, bar, E minor triad. There it is, E, G, B, in blue, okay? And then you do like a little funky riff out of the scale. So. See that? Okay, so just so you can get that. Now, if you want, try and get it in a different position. Try and do it up here on the E and A strings. Same notes though. Now you notice too when I go to the A string, this thumb, it's just like an automatic response that my body does, is thumb comes over. It's like an instant thing, and it's very effortless. There's no like tightness in my body when I just like. Okay, one one more way you can do this. I thought this would be a great one for you. Let's go all the way down, and we'll wrap this up because there's so many things you can do. But remember, rhythm, 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 always. Let's go down to the A string. We're going to go from this part of the G major scale, B, C, D. And then we're going to walk up E. Okay, we're just going to stay on the A string, pink E, pink G, part of the first minor pentatonic position. And then we're going to go all the way up, A, B flat, B, and then we're going to go back down and we'll hit a G, B interval. Almost called it a triad. Whoops. Okay, so watch this. See, am I playing any notes? Okay. B, C, D, E, G, A, B flat, B, G. Kind of hard to talk and do that, okay? So maybe you could even walk it up with octaves, because sometimes you're going to want to mute where this finger, the tip of this finger, is lightly touching the E string. See, you can't pick this up with your eye. It's just something that happens just by default from years of playing. So I'm going to run that same pattern, but now I'm going to play the octaves. Just throw in a whole nother element. Now, what if we did something like that mixed in with the full, okay? Because it's a combination too. Rhythm is like, sometimes this hand is very wide open and has a harder attack. And you guys are all going to play differently. It depends on your pick gauge, how heavy. I'm very heavy-handed. I beat the living tar out of my guitars, all of them. So that's probably why I kind of developed this. So what if we did the octaves? Remember, less is more. We're just limiting ourselves. We're trying to get tight. What if we did that, and then I threw in some single note stuff? So watch. Okay, so again, too, we're only playing 2 chords here, so we haven't even really written out a full composition. I just gave you all kinds of stuff to practice. So grab the ebook, just take it one dot at a time. Your dot might just be one triad, and it doesn't matter. If you can consume the whole thing and burn it in your brain, eventually that's what I want all of you guys to have. I want you guys to put this in your catalog. I don't ever want you to feel limited, okay? But don't get frustrated either. If you are, put the instrument down, take a break. The stuff is not easy, but just get a rhythmic flow going and just create little melodic rhythmic things. Create chordal rhythmic things with bar chords and do the triads, okay? And then get rid of the pick. Maybe you thump it. Maybe just bar chords and triads. Okay, just work your way up the neck. Again, these are just frameworks for you to do whatever you want. So we didn't even get into this cool stuff you could do that. Okay, again, that's why too you want to play without a pick, because there's certain things you just can't do with the pick in your hand. So don't pigeonhole yourself. Just ditch the pick and try something, and no matter how bad it sounds, it won't sound any better until you put in some work. All right. Whew, you guys get that? Definitely drop me a comment, hit the like button. If you're new, would love to keep you. But these are the things you're going to want to do to keep pushing your rhythm playing to the next level. Because if you don't have rhythm, you really don't have anything yet. It's not, your rhythm is going to tighten up everything you do, okay? And you're going to stick out like a sore thumb if you play with somebody else. You might stick out like a sore thumb to yourself. But again, be kind to yourself and realize guitar is a very, very, very hard instrument, but you got to think like a drummer too. All right, drop jellyfish or your favorite sea creature in the comments. Definitely grab the ebook. Again, hit the like button. If you're new, I'd love to keep you. Been around, love you guys. We're getting close to 20K here, man. This is crazy, but number one goal is to help you get better, and I get better too every time I do this. So if you catch any mistakes I made, let me know. I'll redo it. Grab that ebook. Go get those rhythm chops rocking and have fun. Have fun. All right, see you guys in the next video. Peace.